Hello guys, my name is Khan, and actually in today's video I will talk about formatting the Shiny dashboard again. So for this video I have already created two R code files and I will go one by one, and I have given in each R code I have given an example of different formatting styles that you can use in rshiny. So let's start with this R code, which is named as column nesting, that how you can do it. So I will open it up. So this is the code file that I have. I will maximize it into separate window so that you guys can able to see it more properly. So this is the code file that I will discuss with you guys. And the point to note here is that in both of my code file that I will discuss in today's video, I will not be creating main panel or sidebar panel. So I will be using the whole browser window as a canvas where I can put my things according to the way I want. So first I will execute the whole code, and then I will show you that what this code is doing. And ctrl-a, and then ctrl-enter. So we have constructed a very simplistic dashboard in which actually this dashboard is more about formatting. So what I have done here is that I have created a one fluid row, and then within below that I've created another fluid row, but below within that fluid row I have also created two nested columns, and you can see that on my right hand side I have created a cell within that fluid row. So I think it's better to go through the code. It will be a bit easier for you guys to understand. I'm not going to close this window because I will keep soon coming back to this window and I will show you guys that how I am doing it. So let's go back to the code. So again, the first thing that as we are using Shiny package, so I upload the Shiny library, and then I have defined a user interface object. I'm using fluid page, and after using the fluid page I have first defined my fluid row. So as you can see here, the first fluid row, the maximum width of our fluid row is 12. That's why here you're seeing that the first argument within fluid row, I'm saying create a column within fluid row, and I just want one column. That's why I have defined the width of 12. So that's why you can see it's starting from one end of the screen to the right end of the screen. But suppose if I decrease the column width to 10. So close this window. Now let's see how it looks like if I execute the code. Let's run app. Save selected. So you can see that its width got reduced, but I want to be seen on the whole screen. That's why I will be using the fluid width. The first argument is width. You can even write down like this: width is equal to 12. But I am happy to write down 12 only. And then I am using argument align in the center, that whatever I want to paste in that cell or within that column, it should be appeared in the center. And after that I am writing down the text that I want to write down. But within, so if you have a plot or you have a site, so suppose you have a select input or you have any other object, you can also write down, you can call that object here instead of writing down fluid 12. I have created a very basic, so therefore I am just writing the text here that print this thing within that column. So that's why you can execute it. Ctrl-S, run app. You can see that fluid 12 is written down here, but suppose if you have a graph or a table, you can even put that thing here. will go back to my code. So the next thing is the style, which is very important thing when you will be dealing with shiny dashboard formatting. So in the style, I'm defining the style for the given column. So I'm saying that, okay, give the height. So the width you have already defined, because you have inserted a fluid row and then you have defined the width of your fluid row by 12. Now you can play around with the height here in the style. So I'm saying the height is 22 px. The background color I want is yellow. That's why you are seeing that that row is colored as yellow. But let's see if I increase the height here, 24. So let's make it a bigger. Suppose 50. So how it looks like. So rerun the app. So as you can see that the width got increased, and now the yellow color is appearing here. So you can play around with things like this. I will make it back to 22. And now the important thing to note here is that we are still in our column. I haven't closed this column yet, and below that I'm creating a new fluid row. So what it will happening is that it went to rerun it, and we are still in the main fluid row. So we have created this fluid row, and after that I haven't closed this fluid row, and I'm trying to create a new fluid row below it. So as you can see that this fluid row is nested into this main fluid row, as I have also labeled as the first fluid row and the second fluid row. And now it's a kind of a nested fluid row. So under the second fluid row, I'm trying to create two columns. So I'm trying to create one column, and then within that I will create two more columns, nested columns. So here what I'm saying, that column is width is 6, again the align center, and after that I will be labeling as fluid 6. You can name it whatever you want. You can even call the variables here. You can even call the objects, post plot object, table object, or any user input objects. And again I am using the style to format a bit, color it a bit. Here I am using almost the same thing, just to change the colors. And after that, what I am doing is that I am creating. So I have created this cell, and within that I will be creating two new nested columns. As you can see that for that I have created another fluid row. And again the thing to note here is that I haven't closed this column. So this column is not closed, even this fluid row is not closed, the main fluid row is also not closed. So everything is getting into one by one. So it's more like creating a tree. So starting from the top, and then I start creating branches. And now I'm creating my last fluid row, which is here, but within that fluid row I will be creating two columns. That's why you can see that I have two columns here, and after that so I've created the first column with the width of 6. The styling remains the same very much, and then I'm creating a second column, and I'm defining different formats and different styling here, and then I'm closing it again. So in the end you can see that if I put my cursor here, you can see that this column, the first column got finished here. So the first column which we have started here is finishing here, and then after that I'm using comma, and then I'm calling my second column. What is this second column? This second column is coming here, and this thing is nested under my first fluid row. this thing is getting finished here. As you can see, if I have moved my cursor here, you can see this bracket got highlighted. So now, if I discuss this thing, I think this thing is a bit more important, because you can see that I have created a cell which have a width of equal to these two rows. So how I did that? So again, I have created a column with width of 6. I have set align equal to center, and here I have used the div function. So I actually want to use, so what div is a HTML tag, and it allows you to create a section. So I said that within that div marked as fluid 6, and then I am creating a style. So I have used different styles here, a bit variety of it. So I have increased the height 42 pixels because I want to cover the width according to these two rows. And then I said black background color is equal to yellow. Here the important thing is that when you are using the style, the way you use HTML tags is that first you define the function height, then colon, and then define what's the dimension of that thing should be. Here again, and then you use semicolon to use the second property. So after the semicolon, I wrote down the second property, that what will be the background color, and after colon I specify the property dimension or the thing that I want to create. And again, after that, I have defined the color of the text. I want the text to appear as white, and so I define the property that I want to change, and then I write down the dimension or the style. And here is that I want the borders to be solid, that the borders around that column should be solid, and then I'm saying that the border color will be black. But the thing to note here is that when I have created this div, there is a gap got created. If you don't want this gap, you can use this function, the style, which is the column style. So what I will do, so you can use this style, padding is equal to 0 pixel. I will copy it, but it's not the style of the div, it's the style of the column. So you have to paste it here. And now if I execute it, probably you will not see any gap. So I will close this window. Now I will execute it again. So you can see that there is no spacing around here. So in this video, in this part of the code, we have discussed that how you can create fluid row and how you can create nested columns in rshiny, and then how you can format them a bit. But I will suggest that once you will be making nesting column or nested rows, I think you have to play around a bit to make the things according to the way you want. So I will close this code and I will move to my second part of the code, which is in the separate file. I will open that up. So this thing is very much similar to what we have discussed, but in this time I will be calling some plot objects to be printed in fluid rows and columns. Let's do it. So this is the code. So let me execute. Ctrl-a and run it. So this is the dashboard that I have created, and you can see that we have two plots, and then I have one plot in separately. Actually, all I'm doing is that I'm using nested columns here. And you can see that I have also added a line here, which I haven't added before. So I will show you guys how you can add a line. Then I have created one section of things. I will also discuss that how you can add such a section in your rshiny. Let's close it. But before starting, what I am doing is that under my server, I'm using by default or a built-in data set that comes up with R is the empty card. So if you go to your console and write down cars. So this is a built-in data set that comes up with R Studio. So if you enter it, so there's some data set behind it. So I'm using that data for this code. So I'm not loading any data. I'm just using the built-in data because I'm just creating an example dashboard. So I will start with the first line. So I'm using again Shiny library. I created a UI user interface object, and within that I have created a fluid row, and within the fluid row I have created a column with width 3. And the important thing here is that I'm not calling just one graphical object. I'm calling two plot outputs here one by one. What it's happening is that it will create a width 3, and then after that it will print my first plot, and below that it will print my second plot automatically. And then I'm closing that column and I'm creating another column within my fluid row. This is the second column that I'm going to create. But the thing here is that I have created the width of the plot of the column is 8, because as you have shown in before that the plot, you can see that this plot which is appearing on the right hand side have a bigger width compared to these, because this width is 3, this width is 8. So that's why I am using 8 there, and then I have called my third graph here. But the important thing to note here is that I have defined when I was defining the column width, I am then adjusting the height of my column by playing around within the plot output. So I'm defining the height of my column or height of my cell by using my plot output objects. So I have used height here 200, 200, and I want here this graph, the bigger graph, to have a height of 400, so that these two graphs height got matched with the bigger one. So therefore I have made the height 400 so that the things looks a bit more concise or symmetrical. So I have created two columns within that, and then I have closed this fluid row. So this whole area, the main graph, the bigger graph, and these two smaller graphs are within the one fluid row. And I have created within that fluid row I have created two columns. So in this column, in the right column, I have created only one main graph, but in the left side I have added two graphs. So this thing is a bit new, that adding two outputs in a one cell. So actually this is just one cell, which is we are calling the first column and the second column. And then the thing to note here is that between these two sections, upper section and the lower section, there is a line appearing here. So if you guys want to have this kind of line, you can use an HTML tag, which is HR, which try to create a line usually to show another section is going to start. So if you want, you can use that thing. And then you guys will be noticing that I have created a kind of a new form of panel which we haven't gone through before. So what I have done here is that in order to create that, I have used a well panel. So this is a new formatting style that I have never used before. So I've created a well panel. When you will be using well panel, it will be create similar thing like that with grayish background color. And within the well panel, you can add different things. Here I am adding some file inputs and then slider input and action button. But so let's go one by one. And within my well panel, I have created a fluid row, and then within the fluid row, I have created a column of width 11. And after that, I have aligned the objects in the center. And after that, I have used the heading. I'm saying that select the option here, please. Actually, this is just an exemplary dashboard. These file import, this select input, and this action button are not doing anything. I just created to show how you can print those things in well panel. So after that, I have created another column. So within the column, I'm creating 3 further columns. So now I'm nesting columns within columns. And I have said, okay, with this 3 file input, I have already discussed file input. I will not go into much detail. The second column will be having slider input. But the thing is that I have never used the offset. Offset is 0 or 1, so it will adjust the spacing between the objects. So suppose if I say 0, probably it will not look good. Currently, it's very properly spaced. You can see that these 2 objects are properly spaced. If I said offset is equal to 0, or if I don't define offset, the alignment between the objects will be very messy. Let's do it. Run app, save selected. As you can see that the spacing is very different. Here the spacing is different, and here is the spacing is different because I have changed offset is equal to 0. So if I make it back to 1. So the good thing about offset is that if you use the offset, it will align your objects accordingly. And after the offset, I am using the slider input. Again, I have discussed too many times about the slider input before. And the third column is that I want to create is that I'm creating a width of 1 and third column, and then I'm using an action button. We also have discussed action button 4. So within the column, I have created 3 further nested column, and then I'm closing my column here, and then also the fluid row got closed here again. And then we finish the other brackets of the thing that we have started before. So in this way, we have created, so in this example, under the well panel, we have used the nested columns. Within one column, we have created 3 nested columns. And then in the Shiny server, I have just created some render plots by using the empty cars dataset, which the kind of dataset that comes up with R. So you can call it, and even if you don't have it on your computer, it's something that's saved in by R. So I've created some 3 plots, render plots, and then I use those plots in my first fluid row. So in this video, we have quickly discussed a bit more about the formatting, how you can print your plots or your tables in a way you want. And I think in both my this video and last video, we have discussed that sometimes it's a good idea not to use main panel or the sidebar panels, because if you are good in using fluid rows, nesting columns and nesting rows, then you don't need actually main panel or the sidebar panel option. You can place things according to whatever you want, wherever you want. Thank you for watching the video.